Twitch, what's up, YouTube? It's Thursday, just a little after 11. Here we got Deji and me, FJ, and this is BrackCast number 62. Today we're gonna talk about Twitter and free speech. So, recent news, if you guys have been, I guess, following some of the recent news with regards to Twitter, Elon Musk apparently sold some of his Tesla shares to afford buying out majority shares in Twitter, so that he could have like deciding rights, so he could finally just choose what he wants to do. And he wants to pursue free speech on Twitter, and part of that means unbanning Trump, and I guess unbanning a bunch of people who might have been banned for, I guess,
hate speech.
breaching terms of service of whatever Twitter used to be. Yeah, so Digi, initial thoughts on just like, should Twitter be a platform where anyone can say whatever they want?
I think America has a very like weird relationship with free speech. I think they tend to stand so boldly in the fact that, hey, we're all about free speech here. Free speech, free country, freedoms. At the same time, like, they're so hypersensitive and hypercritical of everything that everyone is saying, right? And people get canceled left, right, and center. So it's like, pick a side. It's like, if it's free speech, then we're all fucking saying whatever the fuck we want to say. But if it's not, then I think, yeah, organizations like Twitter and Facebook, they have a moral responsibility to like moderate that shit. So I'm kind of on the fence
So
about both.
okay, let's just remove the platform, the digital platform online, free speech as it is, just the basis of free speech. Do you believe in it? Like, do you believe anyone has the right to say whatever they want and think? I guess, yeah, think and say whatever they want, right?
Okay, I'll put it to you like this. You heard the quote, everyone has the right to everyone has the right to their opinion.
Yeah.
Or an opinion.
Yeah.
I don't believe that's entirely true. I think everyone has a right to an informed opinion. Because I feel like a lot of people just say whatever the fuck they want to say. They just like say shit. It's like, no, like, do you know what you're saying? So free speech, do I believe in it? That was your question, right?
Yeah. Well, does its basis have merit that everyone should be able to say whatever they want? Right to their own opinion. We'll get into that one next. I'm very picky with words, but like, yeah.
I think free speech can only truly exist when there is complete like a general understanding that we can all agree to disagree. When that is like across the board, then that's when I feel like free speech, I can truly believe in it. Until then, it's like, nah. Because like some of these people were saying, it's like, yo, like, shut the fuck up.
So you're saying the condition for free speech should be understanding that you're not trying to change anyone else's opinion. Like, say whatever you want, but if people that disagree with you, you should be okay with that.
Exactly. Not try to behead them on like live TV or something. Like,
do you find that people who try to exploit free speech are like tunnel vision? It's like, I can say whatever I want to say. Do you think most people who like, get mad at saying something like that, like, I can say whatever I want to say, do you think they have the attitude of like, and you have to agree with me? Like, I can say whatever I want to say, and you have to agree with me. I don't know. I feel like when people get to the point where they're like, I can say whatever I want to say, it's almost like they already agree to disagree.
Um, I would agree with you, yes, but at the same time, I'm just thinking about the society we live in and like how a lot of like the younger generation, our generation, like not necessarily our generation because we still like played outside and shit, but a lot of the upcoming generations, they're relatively sheltered from the opinions of others. This is the participation medal generation, right?
Right?
So it's like they probably have a higher sense of entitlement and would want to convince you that their opinion, their thoughts are,
Like they
gospel,
matter.
and they're probably less, I don't know, less accepting of just like a completely deferring opinion and just like less open-minded to that stuff. Like if it's not similar to what their values and beliefs are, they're probably like, no, what the fuck is that? Cancel that guy.
Sorry to ask,
I don't
man.
know. I could be tripping.
Your microphone right now is it using the laptop? I think.
Hold on a sec. How's this?
Better. Thank you.
Better?
Yeah. Because I think
Alright.
it was your laptop and the cable was like sliding on the laptop and I could hear that.
Oh shit.
But anyway, it's all good. It's much better now. So, taking on free speech the next step of like an opinion. See, because free speech, it's a lot looser than an opinion. It's like you can say something without even thinking, and that's okay. Like if you're not even like, sometimes you might just blurt out randomness, and I think technically free speech means you're not responsible for kind of what you say. It's not quite an opinion. It's just, it could have been like gibberish. Like, is free speech, does free speech include gibberish? You know? But when you say everyone has a right to their own opinion or informed opinion, there's more responsibility there, because that kind of
Yeah.
requires premeditated thought, right? Like you have to think
I,
about what you want to say.
I think free speech doesn't necessarily have to do with saying. I think it has less to do with saying whatever and anything and everything you want to say, and more to do with not being the stuff that's coming out of your mouth being deemed, because in like North Korea, there's like certain actions you can't take against the state or whatever. Like
Yeah,
they have that whole thing.
yeah,
Like it's more about that. Like you can live free of persecution from your words and shit, or your actions, or it's stuff you've written. I think that's more so what it has to do than necessarily like, oh, just say everything, like say whatever you want to say.
so like racism, you can't just
Yeah.
say racist things and say claim free speech.
Uh, wh- I mean, I guess you could. It wouldn't, like, you might get punched in the face, but like you could if that's really how you felt. But it's not like if you said all these racist things, then the government would like deactivate your like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
So okay, yeah, so that's where I'm taking it. Like, you can get punched in the face. So if you practice your free speech on the street and there's other people that hear you, you can
Yeah.
you are welcoming yourself to suffer the consequences of what you
Get these
say.
free hands.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's exactly that. When it's on the street, you open yourself up to retaliation, instant retaliation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
uh I guess people say free speech too when, like, can't they like write news and reports and stuff? Can't they like write books? Isn't writing books part of free speech?
I mean, I guess if it depends if it was deemed fiction or nonfiction, and also if it was news. Because
Yeah.
I think news, like you have a certain obligation to like be factual, but then again, nowadays everyone's just fucking nobody trusts the news, and the news is just always like doing random shit. But I think if it's nonfiction,
Yeah.
you probably have some obligation to like, you know, be correct about some shit, or someone's gonna like sue you for like incorrect information or defamation or something. But if it's fiction, then like whatever.
All right, I'm putting up Wikipedia's like whole entire page of freedom of speech. It's too long, but I'm gonna read this one line that came up. It says here, international, regional, and national standards also recognize that freedom of speech, as the freedom of expression, includes any medium, whether orally, in writing, in print, through the internet, or art forms. This means that the protection of freedom of speech as a right includes the content and the means of expression. So it's the right to seek information and ideas, the right to receive information and ideas, the right to impart information and ideas. So it's like freedom of expression. It's not just not whatever you want to say. It's like how you want to say it too, and where you want to say it. It's as understood as a multifaceted right that includes not only the right to express or disseminate information and ideas, but three further distinct aspects of seek information and ideas, receive information and ideas, right to impart information and ideas. Okay.
Yo, give me like 10 seconds. 1 second.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, okay. Deji's gonna go finish his preparation there for his meal. If there's anybody in chat right now who has like any kind of, I guess, a more informed basis on their definition of freedom of speech, if you guys have had this kind of discussion before, please, you're welcome to say something. Okay, so
Sorry,
as that wiki definition explains, it doesn't just have to be verbally, orally, or whatever. Like it could be in writing. Like you could write a book of a bunch of opinions. You can post it on the internet in the comments. This podcast, we exercise free speech in this podcast, right? We can say whatever we want to say, and of course, we still try to exercise though, like within reason, you know, like etiquette, political correctness, you know, politeness, and you know, granted, there's not like a heavily, you know, we're not like super, what's the word? We don't have like crazy stereotypes and racism in the members of this podcast. So, you know, for the most part, we have a pretty socially responsible panel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we think about what we say. We're careful with how we say it. We're not trying to offend anybody, but at the same time, we understand people can be offended. Like we don't.
Yeah.
I feel like every time we like report in this podcast, yeah, we have opinions, but it's more so we try to interpret facts. It's never about like what we just a biased opinion. We're not just biased about like our own personal opinions, right?
Yeah, it's true. I think I find like it's very. Not really, but I don't tend to usually like pick sides for things. You know, I usually will just like try to see both angles, and then just keep it moving.
So what do you think about hate speech though?
What do I think about hate speech?
Hate speech is still expression, you know? Basically Trump, man. Trump, you know how when he went off on Twitter. And a bunch of random people go off on Twitter too. The moderators may not be able to find all of them because there's just so many users and so many posts. But Trump was a central figure. He was huge. So his opinions had influence. And that's why they felt the need to have to step in and moderate and ban him.
That's what I was gonna say, because I feel like if you have a lot of influence, that's a little different when you start spewing hateful shit. Because it's like people will just follow you off the strength of like, yo, I fuck with this guy's ideals. Okay, yeah, I do feel a bit like that. Yeah, they are taking all our jobs. You know?
Or like calling it the China virus, you know?
Yeah, that is gonna cause harm to a large number of people. So we gotta stop that guy.
But it's not even just that guy though. Like he's not the only one that does that though, right?
Yeah, but there's levels to it. It's like, okay, you can't stop everyone, but if you're the president,
So
like, come on.
okay, Elon Musk is trying to say he wants the Twitter medium to be an, I guess, unmoderated medium. All right, we got someone commenting. When it comes to hate speech, freedom of speech, I think it also goes based on what the individual's intent behind the message is. Okay, yeah.
That's important.
Is it just meant for harm, or is it just an opinion? But usually, hate speech comes from an intention of like harm. You want to persuade others, not in the target of the hate speech, to also agree with you. I don't know, man. Like, do you ever just say things for the sake of saying them? Or when you say things, you kind of want people to see your point and agree? Usually when people take the time to post something on Twitter, it's because they want it to be seen. They want it to be published and accessible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, freedom of speech and expression and all that stuff. You're in the privacy of maybe your own home, or you might be in public. But you are within your own isolated limits. So is that what we understand Twitter to be now? Twitter is going to be just an extension of your own personal space. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when you write a book, when you write a letter, when you say things out loud, it is kind of within your reach. Everything's kind of within your space, your own personal space, whether you're in public or not. Twitter is digital, and yeah, it's a medium. Yeah, it's like a internet online medium. But when you post on that, it's not like a diary. It's not a journal. Some people might use it for that. But was the initial intent of Twitter to be treated as like a memoir or a diary?
No.
It's meant to share, right? I thought it was like people use Twitter to keep up with news. Like people, yeah, you have there's a following mechanism to it. You can follow, right?
Yeah.
I don't see any other, like, is there really any other medium where there's a function for followers? Do you think maybe that's a
Tumblr, back when it was Tumblr?
Tumblr, yeah.
And then I guess Facebook in its old
even YouTube and Twitch, man. Like, we all have followers. Like Instagram followers, Facebook friends, Tumblr had followers, Twitch has followers, subscribers, YouTube and stuff. So these people now, whenever we post anything, if they subscribe to you, they're gonna be notified.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's freedom of speech anymore, because it takes it beyond the next level. It's not just you being able to say what you want to say when you want to say it. Now, when you say something, it will be mass distributed to the people who have chosen to follow you. Like, there's that extra step, and I don't know if that's safe, you know? As you said, Trump had a bunch of followers, and everything he said, millions of people knew. Millions of people could choose to like, retweet, agree, dislike, disagree. I don't understand why Twitter should be regarded as an unmoderated platform. I think if you want true freedom of speech on Twitter, remove followers. If people want to listen to you, they have to go to you, not hit a subscribe button so that when they say something, it goes to them. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's something about that dynamic of following. You know, we on Instagram, when we follow someone, it's because we want to know when that person posts something. Mm-hmm. We want to be able to see when that person shares something. We want to know.
Yeah.
Dede's saying some people want to be notified when someone they follow says something. Yeah, But is that free speech now though? Is that still part of freedom of speech? That's what like the digital medium, what like social media allows. But then that's no longer the same realm of just being able to say what you want to say. It automatically gives you listeners, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily about. I think it's more so just about less fear of retribution from what you say, you know, than receiving regular prompts from the people that are in your social circle. I think that's fine because that's generally what even the news is. Because if you think about the news, right? Like our parents, generally, the people that watch the news,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of subscribe to like a CNN or a Fox or an NBC, and they regularly just get their information from there. And it's usually local news or like municipal news or federal news, but that's still within their community, and it's still kind of like a internal feedback loop and what do they call those things? Echo
Echo
chamber.
chambers?
So that like on a like a larger scale, that is still kind of happening, but I think it's more so about, okay, if I post something, you know, am I going to get banned for it?
Yeah,
Do I
but
have to worry?
with news outlets, there's a code of ethics that when they report something and when they publish something to be consumed by consumers and viewers,
Yeah,
that they're pursuing truth. Like
yeah.
it's like they're trying to represent facts. Unless you
I
are
mean,
a tabloid, unless I don't know. That's questionable now with News Now because News Now is very much controlled by higher ups, like higher powers and whatever. There's a lot of corruption in news and it's very biased. So I don't know how much truth we can really rely on news these days. But that's different. See, when someone posts on Twitter, there is no expectation that there was that code of ethics followed, that it was going to be based on truth. You can post anything you want on Twitter and it could just be an opinion. Day saying being retaliated or punished or saying something on a platform, that'd be something directly related to free speech, not necessarily how much my posts are distributed. News is not truth. Okay, yeah, Day, I know what you're saying. Like it's like we can laugh at that now because we understand it's so biased. The news we get here is very different from the news we get on the opposition, on the opposite side. But at the root, at the core of news, it's supposed to be factual. There's supposed to be some sense of responsibility to what they're sharing. So I get that. For people who go to Twitter for news, that's for news. But if you start following people who just say whatever they want to say, and it's distributed in the same manner as news, there's danger there. That's the whole point. That's why Trump was banned. So Day, okay, Day or Dovion, if you're still there too, do you think Trump should be banned? Do you think Trump should be unbanned? Should he be able to come back on and say whatever he wanted to say? What if there's a reason why I choose Twitter for news over anything else? Because you feel like what's the reason, Day? Because it's facts? Because it's unbiased? Why do you choose Twitter over anything else? I think you choose Twitter over anything else because it's first. It's first. It's like people make news out of Twitter posts. That's why you base your news off Twitter, because it's upfront. It's the first thing. It creates news. Trump posting something about nukes, that created news. Trump posting about something about like the corona, that's news. I just think, man, like it's not a fine line or anything, but like choose. What's Twitter for? What is it really for? Like find the what is it called when you start like a new business, like it's something statement, you know what I mean? When you're something statement. It's not a business statement. Anyway, like the central idea of what.
Oh shit! I just realized I was on mute. Yo,
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
my bad. Mission statement.
It mission statement. Yeah. What is? Let's look that up. I'm curious now. Twitter mission statement. There we go. Let's pull this up. Let's pull up the Twitter mission statement. All right. The mission we serve as Twitter Inc. is to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. Our business and revenue will always follow that mission in ways that improve and do not detract from a free and global conversation. All right then. All right. I'm cool. If that is Twitter's mission statement, that sounds to me that yeah, they want to promote the fact that it's open. Say whatever you want to say. And it's not filtered, not moderated, whatever. But now for people like Day to say that Twitter is their, what is it? What did he say? It's
Source of news first.
There's a reason why he chooses Twitter for news over anything else. He chooses Twitter for news. So Day, is there danger there? Danger for the fact that you're basing your news off of this unmoderated, open conversation, no filter medium where people can say whatever they want to say. People can lie. People can lie on Twitter and they're not responsible for the lie. You know what I mean? Are they?
Yeah, I mean, I think like because like Twitter, it's not just people actually posting text on the platform alone, right? Like they will share links to news websites and video websites and other articles. Like they will share lots of links as well. So I think that's probably more so what he's referring to, because you do see they'll have like a section on Twitter that'll say like what's happening now or something, and it'll be like news, sports, entertainment, and then when you click those links, it'll like send you to other news outlets like the Independent or fucking Bloomberg or whatever that just have like the actual article, right? So.
Yeah, the Times, whatever. Like, so Day saying his number one reason is it's real time, it's instant. Yes. 2, sources available, not just an established news station who spread biased info. Yep. You can have independent reporters. You can have people who aren't even certified or credited or whatever as reporters or like news outlets share information. I could do that. I could go on Twitter and pretend or claim to be or pose as a research analyst or a journalist and report on something without having to actually have credentials for it. And third, people can comment if fake or not. But yeah, but Day, people can comment fake or not, but you're always going to get people who say one side and the other. Yeah, there's one predominantly. If it's fake, it's fake. Sometimes, man, on Instagram, you see this post, half the people say it's fake, half the people say it's real. Or then it's a joke now that people say it's fake when everyone knows it's real, but they'll say it's fake because it's like fake culture now.
Troll.
Fake, yeah,
troll.
When they just troll. Dovion15 says, I feel like people go to Twitter the quickest because you're more likely to find both sides of the story. All three are not possible with CNBC, CNN, etc. Yeah, man, like, I know what you're saying. They're news outlets. They're news channels. Yeah, and they're always gonna be filtered somehow by their producers, by the heads. They choose to share what, when, how to spin it. Yeah. So Twitter doesn't, right? Twitter, I guess, it comes from the source of the news. Someone wants to say something, the information being shared on Twitter is straight from the source, unless someone's reporting on it. Like, if the news is Trump, if the news is something Trump said, you can go to Twitter and see what Trump said. You know, like, you don't have to like hear, oh, he said this, or apparently he said this. No one's reporting about it. You could just go straight to Twitter and be like, yeah, look, he said that. Yeah, he actually said that. I don't know,
Another
man.
thing too, though, that there's a lot of misinformation spread on that platform, because you'll often find like there'll be some blanket headline, and then 100 people have seen the headline and like are in outrage, and then like the 101st person will just post a video saying, "Hey, this is the actual full video of what just happened," and then you get some additional context that completely changes the entire story. But like
But
all
it's
of these
lost.
hundreds of
Yeah,
people have retweeted it to like hundreds, and it's just like
yeah.
that happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. And
So
it's,
yeah,
oh man, like how do you control that too? Like,
but
yeah.
but if you think about it, isn't that what history is? History is just the people that came out on top writing this shit.
Well,
If you
yeah.
think about it on a like a large global historical beginning of time scale,
Like
it's like yeah,
a lot of things, the consequences of like a vast majority believing something could be very detrimental. Like I saw this video, I think it was Veritasium. It was about ethyl alcohol. I think they called it like ethanol or ethyl. So they were trying to figure out gasoline, how to make gasoline work better on cars, because like there was something to do with like how it was working in combustion engine. This guy starts working with lead. That's why we have gas unleaded. Gas is unleaded, right? And he was working with lead with this gas, and it worked great. And he changed the word from lead to ethyl. So everyone's like, all right, ethyl's good, we're all this, but unless you look through like, the chemical makeup of ethyl and see that there was lead in there, people didn't know. And lead, even at very microscopic like levels and dosages, is lethal.
yeah,
So like yeah, for a generation, this company who basically teamed up with, I think, like a huge conglomerate of like motor companies, Exxon and all that stuff, made a bunch of ethyl, put it in the gas pumps. Everyone was driving that stuff, and it fucked up like a generation. It fucked up a generation of Americans. And there's so much, and there was like more stuff in the environment and everything like that. But that's just because some people said something, and then other people start believing it, and then they're like, okay, it's all good. But yeah, put it on the hush hush, right? And like, and then like, so you're saying that's history. It happens in history. I don't think it's okay, man. I don't think just because it's happened, it makes it okay.
Oh no, I don't think it's okay at all. I was just thinking about it like it happens on such a ramp because every time I log on to Twitter, I just see some bullshit, yo. I'm just like, there's so many people that believe this, right?
Yeah.
But then you just think about like, yeah, throughout history, we've only gotten generally one side of the story. Like what happened to the other side?
Day Day says it really good. History is written by the winners. You know?
Yeah,
If Nazi won, America would be the villains of the world. Yeah.
exactly.
Why does like, and here's another, like, why is there a predominant kind of like fear about Russia? From the American side. It's like
Yeah.
Rocky,
Propaganda.
Russia, propaganda, Russia, or like any kind of war, something to do with Russia. Even freaking Street Fighter was like USSR with like Zangief. But yeah, then you get M. Bison was from, I forget, was he from? Was he Thailand or whatever? But he's wearing all red, whatever. It's like he's got like this Russian propaganda behind him too.
Yeah.
And like it's clear now. It's like we all think, life in Russia must be bad. I love
Everyone's in the gulag.
So it's like yeah, that propaganda carried so long, and then a bunch of people just think, oh, like there's a lot of stuff that goes on in Russia that's just that we got it better here in America. But the more Russians you talk to, especially like local Russians over there, they will tell you a different story. They will tell you how Russians have moved to the US, and they compare how Russia was to the US, and how like it's not about like land of opportunity, freedom, and all that stuff. It's just as hard. Everything's expensive. The food's not as good. It's unhealthy. It's like pollution, diet, health, all that stuff. Like, but you know, people don't know. People don't know because they just feed on what they're fed. They feed on what they're fed. Back to Twitter. Man, I just don't think it's safe. If people are relying on the platform to be a source of news, I don't know, are you going to have to start categorizing users? Cuz there's one thing if you know how, man, I've seen enough posts that are doctored. You know? Have you seen that where like someone says, "Look what this person said," and it's like a instead of a retweet or like a share, it's a screenshot of someone's tweet, but it's fake. You know, it's fake news. Like I've seen enough of those where it's a screenshot, but the screenshot isn't even real. It's been like photoshopped or whatever. And yeah, the good thing there's like websites out there where you could look up, is this fake news, and then you could see like, has it been doctored, or like, did someone actually say that?
Oh, there's websites for that, eh?
Oh yeah, dude. Every time you come up with something, you're like, I don't know if that's real. Look it up. Look up the headline and be like, is this real? Is it fake? And there's gonna be different news that like try to source it out for you, different websites that try to do that, which I think are great.
Oh shit.
But remember, there's even times, dude, where I see someone on Twitter will say something about someone. They'll say something about another celebrity or something like that.
Okay.
Blah 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 said this. Blah 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 said this. And then you see the actual person reply and be like, I didn't say that. Like, you know what I mean? So you get this person reporting on someone, and then the actual person's like, I never said that. I don't know what you're talking about. Dede saying, related note, people in North Korea genuinely believe they're the best and most advanced country in the world. Yeah. Yeah. That's... Yeah.
Hey, the more I'm learning about humans and how gullible we are, I'm just like, yo.
It's not even about being gullible, man. Like,
they're impressionable or whatever.
if your environment doesn't allow for you to know anything else, you know, like
That's fair.
if we didn't know, you know, Earth went around the sun, you know, like it's part of science. I guess news is also part of science. It's like we would still think that we're the center of the universe, you know.
Yeah.
But like, you know, humans are like the only, you know, where people think the Earth is flat.
I guess in the case of what Data is referring to with North Korea, it's not like a deduction they like came to just on their own as citizens. It was like government propaganda, because the government probably knows, you know, what's going on outside and shit. It's just like, yo, let's feed the citizens this shit. Let's feed it to them.
Yeah.
So sad, yeah.
Did he say that's the risk I'm willing to take by being on Twitter over other biased news that give me no other choice but to believe everything they say? Nah, dude. The one thing you said there, Dede, that give you no other choice but to believe everything they say. You don't have to believe what the news outlets say. Like, I don't even believe a bunch of what the news outlets say. CNN now has this like super, I think, is it left? I forget. Left or right? Extreme left or extreme right. But when someone mentions CNN as a source, everyone's like, that's not a credible source. You can't rely on CNN as a credible source.
Yeah, it's happening now. Trump did that.
Flipstar says, no, you just look for other news sources. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to believe what news say. You still have a choice to believe what you consume or not, right? And where to find other sources, i.e. Twitter. Well, that's the thing, too. Like, as you said, spreading fake news and, like, spreading propaganda. Facebook, super moderated, you know? And everyone has... for the most part, there's an identity with your Facebook. I don't know. Over the years, there's definitely a lot of fake accounts now on Facebook, bots or whatever. But
oh, really?
Yeah, I get like friends requests from random like bots all the time, and they're not real.
Oh shit!
It's for you to try to get and click on something. But what I notice on like Facebook posts, even Twitter, the one that gets likes, like, you know, Instagram, YouTube comments, there's always a top comment. There's like the most liked comment or the most responded comment always gets pushed to the top, right? So there's like favoritism on like who gets who's first for one. If you're early, you can have a more lasting impression on the post. More people see your comment early, they might like it or reply to it, whatever, and you get pushed up. And you said 100 replies on something, sharing everything, and then the 101 person says like, actually, this is the whole thing, and this person comes out with the truth, but it's lost. It's lost because it's way late. It's like there wasn't enough time to actually do proper background research. Hold on, chat's going off here. Twitter. The difference is news outlets are credible, doesn't mean they're not biased. The general public doesn't have the brain power to go through social media and find the truth. It's true. And Facebook is like, the algorithm is designed to just give you what you already want to hear. Like what you consume the most on Facebook is what they will continue to feed you.
It's a circle, Jake.
And Day saying word credible would be an extremely naive way to view the news outlets, but okay.
I'm gonna check my...
Yeah, man, yeah. And Flipstar says there's a difference between credible and biased. Yes, there is. Okay, Flip, Day. And Kyle, if you're there, Dove, if you're there, should Trump be unbanned? I think for the most part, everyone I think is kind of agree on here. Like, yes, he should come back. There's no problem with him coming back on Twitter. As influential as he is, if Elon wants to maintain the mission statement, the original mission statement of Twitter, that means Trump, you're okay to come back. Is that what we're saying? Is Kim Jong-un going to be allowed to be on there too? You know, is Putin going to be on there too? I guess, I don't even know. Let's see. Twitter Putin. I
definitely like be very curious to see what Vladimir Putin had to say on Twitter.
All right, President of Russia. When I looked up Putin, President of Russia comes up for Twitter. 1.7 million followers. Maybe
he's on Twitter already?
Maybe this is him.
He's on there already. Interesting.
What? Bill Gates sharing things I'm learning through my foundation work and other interests. Wait, what's going on? Well, I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I don't trust any mainstream media, Kyle says. On that topic, I believe in freedom of speech and thought, so I don't think anyone should be banned from social media. From social media? So you're not saying just Twitter, dude? Like YouTube, Facebook? You know, if you post a lot of hate speech on these mediums, like, you violate terms of service. Even Twitch, we can spread a bunch of stuff. These are all private companies. Yeah, it's not like a public platform. Twitter is the closest, in my opinion. Twitter is the closest. There is no, like, you know how Instagram you can have a private account or you can have a public account. Facebook, you can choose who gets to see your friends, who gets to see your posts. Twitter's open, man. You post something on Twitter.
Oh,
it's like,
actually no.
What?
You can have a private profile on Twitter.
You can have private?
Yeah.
Like, so it's just for messaging people then? Like, what's the point? Or so like,
well, they just don't see your tweets, but you can see everyone else's tweets.
So really, if you have a private account, you would never tweet then. Is that what you're saying?
The people that follow you could see your tweets.
The people that follow you that you accept that they can follow you. You have to like accept it.
Yes.
Like a friend.
Yes.
It's basically
Yes.
like a friend. It's like a friend request.
Yeah.
Hate speech
like the public.
Yeah.
No.
Kyle saying hate speech is different. If you wish harm on someone, then that can be grounds for ban. But if you just have an opinion, why not? So Kyle, Trump's stuff, what he was saying about China, what would you classify that as? Maybe some of it wasn't stuff he actually tweeted, but like stuff he said on stage, calling it the China virus because it came from China. Sure, I could be right. Quote what he said to me. Quote what he said to me. Wait, what? Full free speech for the platform will never happen anyways. Quote what he said to me. I don't know what you mean, Kyle. Like, again,
like what what is the literal thing that Trump said?
Oh, I don't know.
Let's see. Trump.
Okay, Kyle says China virus. Personally, he doesn't care. And that's good, man. Neither did I. I never took that as like, oh man, oh he's blaming China. I hate China. I don't follow Trump that way, and I don't think you do either. Maybe you respect him a certain differently, but there were a number of Americans that take what he says as like truth. Trump is a great comedian. See, Kyle, because you're informed. But what about like the majority of the people who voted for him? Yo, I was talking to this with Data the other day. Kanye wants to run again. Kanye wants to run, I think, in 24 or 23 or something like that. So if you had a choice between Biden, Trump, or Kanye, who would you vote for?
Shit. I mean, we've had both, so might as well go with the wild card.
Kyle, yeah, the virus came from China. I know that. Yeah, if you're gonna take it based on his semantics of how he said it, yeah, it's factual. It's the China virus because it came from China. China made it. Okay, that is I think for the most part has been now accepted as like it is a factual in its semantics. It's correct. But yeah, as Flipstar says, that China virus name tag was what created the Asian hate. Like we're Asians in America. We're starting to get like assaulted. Is that cool? You might not see it that way, but many people did. You can watch videos on it. Yeah, well, yeah, we all know it happened. We can't deny that it happened. So are we saying though? Here, okay, Flipstar. On the other hand, I will say, Kyle, Dede, Flipstar. I will say, on the other hand, China virus starting that hate. That's not Trump's quote unquote responsibility. As an individual, he can say he said something, free speech, yeah, but what those people who are uninformed and like uneducated took that, is that still his responsibility? Is that what you're saying? Just because it was his because he was the president? Is there a certain level of responsibility that he has to be aware and like be politically correct when he says something?
I think so. As a president?
Right, as a president. But if he's using Twitter and he's just saying stuff, is he still the president, or is he just using Twitter because he's saying stuff? Like he's just, I'm saying this as me, not as my responsibility as a president. You know what I mean?
Wait, is this while he's in office?
Yeah, while he was in office is when that's when he got banned, right?
If you're in office, everything you do is an extension of your presidency. Like you can't be on Twitter, a very public platform and one of the most used platforms in the world, saying dumb shit. Like get the fuck out of here.
So yeah, Dede's, I somewhat agree with what Dede's saying. That's the result of people who took it that way, not Trump's fault. Technically, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's not his fault. But because of what happened, there's a certain responsibility that he could have taken. And yes, Kyle, I agree. He should have come out after, once he started to see what was happening, to clear what he meant or intended to mean. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, if he had the influence to cause that, he would have had the influence to stop it too. But are you 100% sure that he wasn't trying to portray that? That's another thing too. I kind of think he didn't say anything to counter Asian hate, because he actually believed it too. Like, this is a guy who grabbed girls by their, like, he is the president. He has the influence. That's speculative at best. Oh yeah, of course it's speculative, Day, but we all have an opinion. I can say it. I can say my opinion on Twitter, and if enough people agree with me, there's influence, and that could change a bunch of stuff. If he's racist, I'd believe it. Yeah, I still don't think he would be banned from Twitter. He should be banned. Okay, there we go. I think you're right there. It's speculative, but actions speak louder. You also have to understand he's literally the only one who went against China publicly. He shouldn't be banned from Twitter.
Join the video.
Yeah, I know. These guys, what? It's fine. It's fine. I know. I'm just this whole podcast is me end up reading chat, but Okay. Okay. I guess mission statement Twitter. All right. If you want to allow your platform to be one where basically you're removing responsibility. You know, it's not even hate speech. You can say random stuff. You can lie on Twitter. You can lie on Twitter. If you want
Yo,
to, you can lie, and that's okay, because it's freedom of speech, right? But if you're gonna allow your platform to be so unfiltered and unmoderated and unvalidated, then I think you should have a disclaimer there of like you should not use Twitter as as like a viable source for factual news, because because you're basically saying anyone can put anything they want there, truth or not. Yeah, we all agree. Yeah, Trump come back, sure. But Day's the one saying that he uses it. It's his number one source for news. So it's like, how many people use it for that then? And how many people are gonna believe what they see on there? If people treat Twitter in that manner, that's not what Twitter was for. Is it, sir? It's not the content creator's fault. It's Twitter's fault then, isn't it? It's Twitter's fault for making people believe you can go to Twitter for valid, viable news.
I don't know if that's Twitter's fault. It's just the nature of how the technology's evolved. It's become so easy to just share all forms of like video, text, articles, songs. You know, they even have the thing that they had on what was that app that came out during quarantine? In Clubhouse. They have the
Oh,
Clubhouse shit on Twitter now.
what do you mean?
So you can just like chat in rooms and shit.
Yeah.
So I mean it's the technology's expanded, you know, it's it could be a great tool or a horrible tool, you know, it just depends on how you use it. It's like the internet.
I guess that's what the concern was for me. If you're someone like Day, who takes what you read on social media and
Yo.
have now have released social media for yourself as your source for news over news outlets and news channels, I know I'm sure he's not the only one that does that, you know. Yeah, I rely on, actually, to be quite honest, Deji, like my news source is Facebook, but it's not like I look for news on Facebook. That's where I get it, but it's up to me if I want to even care. Like that, because of social media, I think I've turned away from news. Like I don't even want to know the news. Before, the newspaper, remember how hot the newspaper was? People paid annual subscriptions for this boy to throw this piece of paper at your door every day, and they wanted to know what was going on in the world. And now we have the most access and most immediate access to news these days, and people don't want to read it. People don't want to know because the world's fucked, and it's like,
It's too
I don't
much.
want to know. I don't even want to know.
It's too much, yo. It's too much. Like there was one year I was just seeing like black dudes get shot by police. It was like, why am I seeing so much of this? And then I heard this one guy say, hey, this is actually happening to white people a lot more, but they're just showing this on TV a lot for some reason. And I'm like, okay, I can actually see that. But it's like, why? What is the point of this? You know, like, what is the end goal? Is it for politics? Is election season coming? Like, everything just always has some sort of weird motive, right? I don't know, man.
So, question for you, man. Like, COVID started, everyone's worry was COVID. News was about COVID, social media was about COVID. That's all we consumed. And then it switched to BLM pretty early during COVID, right? Or was BLM the year before? Oh my gosh. I feel bad that I can't even remember the exact, like,
It's too much
chronological.
shit, man. Everything was happening.
But
Everything was happening.
but there was
2020, everything happened.
dude, remember like, was it like June 2, July 2, everyone posted a black square on their Instagram, everyone had a black profile profile photo on Facebook or whatever it is, and that was like a win. That was a win for BLM awareness, right?
What was that for the George Floyd shit?
I think it was. I wasn't just for George, but I think it was for Black Lives Matter. Like, the movement of Black Lives Matter was like at its peak. It was central in news because of all the riots, and it was central in social media because of all the debate, all the back and forth, differing opinions. Do you think? Well, since then, since 2 years ago, when BLM was at its hot as its peak in terms of uh um like news coverage,
Okay.
do you think there's been progress, like substantial progress since then?
Oh yeah, it was online activism for police killing of George Floyd. That's what it was about. It
So,
was,
okay,
it was like that moment sparked that.
yeah,
But sorry, your question was.
like there was a time where it was what people were talking about, and then it got replaced. It basically, we didn't see it for a while. It went back to Corona for a bit, and then it was trans. It was a lot of trans. Then it was Asian hate, and now it's kind of trans again. But now things are kind of opening up again. So now it's like the economy, maybe like the environment. But like we just follow what's hot. Like whatever's in the news is what people are consuming. BLM hasn't stopped. The movement for BLM hasn't stopped. The movement for trans hasn't stopped. I hope Asian hate doesn't happen anymore, but I'm sure it does. But we just keep following the peak of social media news because that's what's fed to us.
Yeah.
So more organizations have
I
altered
mean,
the
like
way they operate when it comes to people of color.
the news cycle generally runs on
wicked.
fear, perpetuating fear and like anxiety, right, into society. Like that's what keeps. I don't know, in a weird way, that's what keeps people like tuned in. They're like, oh my god, what's happening? I'm like, up to date, so I'm aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, if it's some happy shit, it was like, oh, hope he got saved. All right, on to the next thing.
Well, that
You know,
was
like no one.
some good news. Do you remember that SGN? There was like a YouTube
No,
thing. John Krasinski started his own news channel on YouTube, and it was called SGN. Some good news, and he would only report on good stuff. And it went hot for a bit because everyone was depressed. But then what
and then it
happened?
got boring.
Well, they stopped making it. I think first of all he got bought out, or maybe it was like a copyright infringement of something. And then someone replaced him, and then it died. No one cares about SGN anymore. At least I don't. I haven't heard or seen an episode since maybe the first 6. There were like 6 episodes of like some good news or whatever like that. Flipstar is saying more organizations have altered the way they operate when it comes to people of color, which is great. That's progress. That progress should always happen anyway. I wonder if that progress was due to the hype during COVID, or was that just progress because it's always been an ongoing thing. BLM is ongoing. It's not like it was a hot topic for a few months during COVID, and that's when it made its boom. No, like it's been around. It's been around for decades, right? So, anyway, I'm going off on tangents now too.
All right.
Anyway, I think it's a cool discussion to have. I think that's probably why I just chose to have it here. It was brought up in our group chat about Elon buying out Twitter. So now Elon wants to bring back Trump. Does that also mean that everyone gets unbanned? What's the moderation?
I mean, that might be a possibility.
I think so. But then, is it only verified? Do you have to be verified? Do you have to have the blue check? You know what I mean?
That might be because he said he was working toward authenticating users.
It says here, President of Russia. Account information. The account is verified. Yeah, so I don't know if that's Putin, but it's the President of Russia. I'm not verified. Are you verified? How many of us are actually verified?
I'm not, no.
Yeah, man, like, who are the... I don't know. I don't follow anybody's Twitter. Guys, I don't really use Twitter. I'll be honest. I'm old. I am not a Twitter user. I use it for my social media when I'm, like, sharing other stuff, but it's not, like, a big thing for me, but I know for others it's huge. What about you, Deji? Do you use Twitter?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Has it been good for you spreading your like art? If you want that stuff
Not really,
information.
but as far as like getting information, it's a good place to get information.
That's what you
I
use
don't
it for. It's not for promoting yourself.
I just haven't figured out how to do that effectively yet.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a way to do it. I just haven't figured that out.
You gotta be active, and you gotta be. You have to take the time to like read bigger people and get on their radar. Like you have to comment, like, react, and the more people are aware of you, the more reputation you build for yourself. Then you get more followers because if you reply good stuff, people think you're funny, people think you're witty or whatever, you think you're clever, you get more followers that way. You know, everything I post on Instagram goes on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, everything I post on Twitch goes on Twitter. But it's not like I think about it. It's like it's a plugin that just automatically posts that stuff. Like, cause I don't know. But I do not comment or
Yeah.
react or like or retweet. I don't do any of that stuff. I should.
Yeah, I don't think that. Have you noticed any like growth on
No.
Twitter? Because like, yeah, because like
For
that.
me, no.
Yeah, that'll be recognized as like a post from another platform, right? And people aren't like gravitate toward that. Like they like seeing
Well,
unique shit that someone just like typed out in the tweet box and just like sent out.
you're a musical artist, so it makes more sense that you would be focusing on platforms like maybe Instagram, SoundCloud, you know.
You'd be surprised, man.
So you push
Twitter's
Twitter.
huge. Like, yo,
No, yeah,
musicians.
yeah, because they're
Yeah.
huge already, though. They're huge already.
No. Not. It's not even the. I'm not talking about the users. I'm talking about like regular musicians. They've just figured out a way to like fine tune their marketing so like they have a really attractive tweet with a really good picture. Like it's on there, man. Trust me.
And it's not just like something from Instagram that just gets reposted on Twitter. I feel like Instagram, because it for me, for artists like visual, makes more sense. Like you have followers on Instagram. I have way more followers on Instagram and on YouTube than I do Twitter. Like nobody follows me on Twitter, basically. Like
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would. I know people that have a way larger Twitter following than right.
yeah,
So it's like it really depends on how well you know how to use the platform at the end of the day.
I kind of think it's generational. Like
That too.
it's like obviously, yeah, none of our parents would use Twitter. Celebrities, older people than us, for them to be using Twitter, it's because they need to keep up with the generation. But it is a younger generation thing. It's almost like Snapchat. Twitter
Yeah.
Twitter and Snapchat I feel like have a similar kind of generational demographic. TikTok is different. TikTok's another like step away from Twitter. Twitter is it's words. It's all just characters, 160 characters or something like that. Maybe it's more now, 250 characters.
Say 240.
But yeah, 240. Yeah, but TikTok, Instagram, people want visual stimulus. People want quick consumption of content. 6 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds.
Just so interesting because like Tumblr was kind of like that, but it also had a lot of like words and shit, long blog posts.
Oh
I
yeah,
had thousands of followers on Tumblr, man. Like,
some
and that would not be easy to get, like in this day and age, because no one's paying attention to that shit.
some guy just said his name is Pizza Likes Cheese. He said, "Yo, there's a streamer in your guys' stream, just making fun of you guys, just letting you know."
Yo, that's great for him, man.
I mean, I don't know what he means by streamer in our stream. Like someone's watching our stream right now while streaming. I mean, that's pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you for the awareness. Hold on, I'm missing some chat here. Let's be the hold on. If you want to go to Chor chat, Elon possible to cut the offer from 44 billion to someone else, but he'll definitely do everything he can to buy it. Yeah, lots of streamers do that to political commentators. Okay, I don't know, man. But I mean, whoever's doing that, I mean, cool. I appreciate the attention. I mean, that's all we're on here for, to have a conversation and to spread at least the conscious thought of being able to participate in the conversation. He's listening to streaming the stream. No, Lol. So he's listening to streaming the stream. That's a good thing for FJ. More views. I mean, yeah. Please do that more often. Every Thursday. Every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern. Please feel free to make fun of us. And then go check out the YouTube after when it's on there too. You can follow me on there too.
Every week. Make fun of us every week.
Yeah. Yeah. And man, come on the chat, take part, like we want to hear what you have to say. I'm sure it's like, well, no, I feel like maybe there could possibly be something informative and maybe there's a learning opportunity there for everybody. All right, anyway, it's been an hour 5 minutes. I mean, that's all. We just wanted to have the open conversation. Hopefully, maybe people will see this VOD later, have some comments they want to share in the comments below. What's your opinion? We didn't really come up with anything conclusive. I think we kind of all agree, though. Trump, yeah, man, if he wants to come back, come back. Twitter is about that. The mission statement's about, like, freedom of speech and, like, expression. So, you're just gonna... So if he wants to come back, he come back. But I hope there's some sort of, like, there should be some disclaimer. I'm like, yo, do not take everything you see on Twitter and just take it for truth upon source. Because technically the platform allows you to lie willingly and openly as well. So it's like, yeah, take everything you read with like a little bit of caution, hesitation. Do your background checks. Check for fake news. Don't spread any. Oh, that's one thing too. Deji, do you ever just like see something you like and click share or retweet or reshare?
No, I read through it first.
Right. Like sometimes I know there's followers out there who will like everything that their favorite person posts, automatic reshare, automatic retweet, whatever. Like they don't even think about it. I'm sure people do that.
Drake posted this immediately.
Anytime before I reshare something, of course, yes, I will consume it myself. And if I think there's like controversy there, I will do a little fact check at least, not something in depth where I will like totally figure out if it's real or not. But yeah, a lot of times fake news I see on my parents' posts or people share it in like direct messages, and then I'm like, I'll look at it. I'm like, yeah, that's not real. Look, that's not real. Look, and then I'm the one who verifies. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. We'll see you next week. Huh?
Quick question.
Yeah, go.
Question. I was thinking about this today. This probably has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Is importance and value the same thing?
Importance and value. I feel like value is subjective on whoever's perceiving. It's like value is perceived. You know what I mean? But importance has almost more like altruistic. It's like in the grand scheme of things, importance feels like it's like there's like an underrooted meaning behind importance. But value is perceived. Like your values can differ from my values. But if something is important, regardless if you think, you know what I mean? Like it's important. Deji, this is important. So it's like you're almost compelled to accept its attention towards it because I just said it's important. But if I tell you this is something I value, you don't have to agree with it. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you mean.
Value comes up. Yeah, value comes off to me more like even monetary, like quantitative, whereas importance is not really quantitative.
Something could be of high value but low importance.
Oh, that's true. And then the opposite too. Something can be of high importance but relatively low value.
Something to think about.
Value said Day says value is subjective and personal. More views, so thanks whoever you are. All right guys, thank you. See you next week, Thursday. Peace. 11 p.m. Thanks for watching guys. Have a great one. Enjoy your weekend.